Good evening, Manisha ji. Thank you for taking your time off to be with us at Sarmaya. It's indeed,
My pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
yeah, it's an absolute delight to have senior artists like you,
Thank you.
people who have so much insight into the art and who have literally uh, given their life for the art. So thank you for that kind of effort from our side. We as ordinary citizens, we are blessed to have people like you amongst our midst. So
Thank
by
you.
way of introduction, uh, Manisha Jha is a Madhubani artist, which is her passion, of course. She's from Bihar, from the Madhubani area, comes from a village called Satlakha, has spent over 40 years of her life with this art form. So uh, you cannot find someone who's more intimately connected. Um, by profession, she's an architect, designer, interior decorator, and she's multifaceted. So, one of the questions I'm going to ask her later is how she divides her time, of course, between all of this. She's the founder of the Madhubani Art Center, one of the strong pillars that is, providing support and patronage in a variety of forms to this art form. And widely exhibited over the many years. She has been exhibited and hosted both domestically and internationally, and hugely awarded from national awards given by the President of India through to state awards, cultural body awards, etc. Too numerous to count here. But suffice it to say that recognition has come her way, and it's a pleasure and privilege to have her here on the show. First question, Manisha ji. Why is Mithila such an inspiration? What is it about the land that has sustained this art over hundreds and possibly thousands of years?
I think for me it's my birthplace. But if you see Mithila, it has since centuries. Mithila is known for its scholarly people, like Buddhism, Jainism, and even starting from Ramayana, Raja Janak. He was the only person who was mentioned in Mahabharata, because for his virtual activities. So Mithila has been always a place of scholarly activities. So and plus, if you see why Mithila painting is so predominantly still alive there, it's because of the culture. Because somehow it was very lucky for Mithilanchal to be secluded because of its rivers and so many other natural terrains. So if you see, all the things which are mentioned in Dharma Shastra are still practiced in Mithila. So that's what makes this land very very unique in itself. Because if you see the wedding tradition which is mentioned in Dharma Shastra, all the rituals which were mentioned in Dharma Shastra, and say thousand of years back, it was practiced in all over India. But other places it has got lost, but it is still practiced and preserved in Mithila by the women. So that I find is very very special.
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things that was especially attractive when I went there. Apart from being so blessed naturally with green, with lakes, with ponds, it also has such a cultural significance
Correct.
from Sita Mata's origins to the intellectual power of Mithilanchal. So the storytelling capability, the fascination of the culture, and the embedding across all categories of
Yes.
people. Of course, it's gender led by women, but it is there in every strata of society. So obviously, it's part of the DNA of people of Mithila.
Correct.
It's amazing that such a deep culture got discovered for the world by accident, and a dramatic accident at that. There was.
Correct. WG Arthur. Yeah. So, it's we were quite fortunate. I always say that we were very fortunate to be rediscovered by WG Archer in 1934 after a major earthquake in the region, because it was really devastating and one of the most heavy earthquakes with 8.2 or 8.4 magnitude. So Archer, being an art connoisseur himself, when and we were not free at that time, India was not independent. So when he visited various areas, and behind the broken walls, he saw these beautiful artworks on the mud structures, which were not seen before. So he, being an art connoisseur himself, so he immediately, discovered it, and he took pictures, and he got more interested in it, and suddenly he thought, oh, when did Picasso come here? Because Picasso was his friend. So, and he has written these, in his Archer's memoirs, you will see that he's written about it. And it's very interesting that he wrote in 1934, and then he kept writing about it, and the pictures which he took after independence, it went to the British Museum. But at the same time, he wrote a letter to Pupul Jaikar, who was he was heading the handicraft ministry at that time, in Indira Gandhiji's time. And when again the natural disaster, but we forgot, because our country was in a lot of changes. So nobody remembered an art form which Archer had mentioned. But again in 1965, when there was a major drought in Mithilanchal, at that time Hupul Jaikarji remembered that Archer had mentioned. She went there, but she didn't see much. But then she saw few of the artworks, and at that time she, through Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay, who was heading here, she made a artist forum, which was, I forgot what it was called. And at that time, Bhaskar Kulkarni, one of the artists, he was sent to work in the area and do, like the government decided to have a non-agricultural relief fund for the area, because agriculturally at that time it could not be, because there was drought. So at that particular time, Bhaskar Kulkarni, when he came there, not many people, because we have very conservative societies. So at that time, like my grandmother, nobody had seen her face. So it was very difficult task for Bhaskar Kulkarni to, he went inside into the deep interior villages, and with H.P. Mishra, who was then Upendra Mahathi ji, they were all together. And slowly he convinced the men of the villages. And then one or two, then he met Sita Devi, because she was the senior most artist woman. So at least, she could talk to him indirectly from a distance. That's what Sita Devi had mentioned. So, and then Bhaskar Kulkarni's role is very important in the styles which develop, which we are talking in Mithila, because all the three styles, what he did was, first of all, he gave paper, and which government of India had initiated, and from mud walls, these paintings were done on the wedding rooms, the kobar, and all throughout the house, wherever we used to do mud wash, we used to paint to ward off evil and bring prosperity and blessings from gods and goddesses. So that's why, especially the Kobar Ghar. Kobar Ghar was as I said, that Mithila still follows 4-day wedding ritual in Maithil Brahmin. Even I got married, and we, like in 4 days, the wedding continues minimum, and then for next 1 year. So
Up to that, because I really want to link it to the work you've done, tremendous work you've done in the book that you've published on Madhushavani. So let's get to that. Before that, I would also like to very interestingly recall the effort of some 3 or 4 very interesting foreigners who came there and spent a long time,
All of them, yeah. They were, like I would say, so when Bhaskar Kulkarni, it came on paper, Five women, the older women, Jagdamba Devi, Sita Devi, there were more. In my research now, I found that there were more women who contributed, although not many people know their name, like Hanmana Devi, Savitri Devi. They all did it on paper, and it came to Delhi. It was exhibited in Delhi. And it was like Indira Gandhi ji, Lalit Narayan ji, they were the main people who really promoted that. Gira Sarabhai, the Sarabhai group really promoted it in a very big way. So it was, I think, and then Government of India, they promoted it, they made so many stops in different countries. And that's how Mithila painting went to different countries, and that brought these promoters like Raymond Overly, then French Vico, he came, then Hasegawa ji from Japan. So they saw it when Government of India brought it to the embassies in different countries. Like it was exhibited in Germany, it was exhibited in Berlin, it was exhibited in US, France, so many countries. Everywhere, Government of India bought it there, and then these people, they got really, really fascinated. Like I talked to Hasegawaji last year. He was in Patna. So he said that he just saw a small postcard of Ganga Devi with a small tiger, and the moon. He called it Mona. So he saw that moon, and he said that it gave him. He was an artist himself, so it gave him a very different kind of feeling. And he said that I want to meet this artist. So that was in 1972 India Expo in Japan. And so he came to Delhi. He went to the textile ministry, and where they said, "Oh, this is Ganga Devi's painting." So somebody took him to Ganga Devi. He came to Patna, and then he came to Madhubani, and he met Ganga Devi, and he used to call her his mother. And that's how this great collection of Hasegawa in Japan. The only Mithila museum is in Japan.
Yeah, I know. I mean, to all our viewers, it's a amazing trivia, but the Mithila Museum in Japan actually houses more than 4,000 works of Madhubani art, and it's an amazing testament to how the world has seen this art form and really has fallen in love at multiple locations.
Yeah, and in fact, most of the artists like Godavari Dutt and so many senior artists, they said they became artists in the museum there, because here here we had you have your home, you have children, and you are very struggling, so you actually don't get to innovate. But Hasegawa-ji, he intervened in what they were making, and that's how the famous Trishul and all these big paintings which came. It was because of his intervention.
Yeah, in fact, we've had the pleasure of actually collaborating with them. In our spotlight now, we have a collaboration with
nice, yes, very nice.
We got some stunning works from there, which is
In fact, the whole credit goes to him that he has preserved the early masters. Like in our country, we don't have that anywhere. So I think that's a very great achievement and a great work done for our country by Hasegawa. Then again, Raymond Overly, his intervention is also amazing. Like he really promoted this art and made a difference in the life of different artists. And then his colleagues like David Zanton, and then they had this Mithila Art Institute, which David had founded, and his institute, they founded Ethnic Art Foundation in 2002. Unfortunately, it's no more now, but they really did very good work, and the heart of where training and giving a new dimension, a new outlook to this whole tradition of paintings. Okay. And in fact, Raymond stayed there for some. Then Erika Moser.
She was from Germany, right?
She was from Germany, and she was the one who bought Godna style of painting, the Dalit style, because she. It just happened that early 10 years were these Kayast and Brahmin women, they became world famous. They were traveling everywhere and they became celebrities. And at the same time, so the Godna, the Dalit women also wanted to do something and earn money. Basically, it was that. So Erica Moser saw these body tattoos, which are very fashionable now.
Yes.
But even my Dadima's all the ornaments are made with the tattoo. So we say that Shubh hota hai, it's very auspicious, and you directly go to the heaven if you have those gods and goddesses in ornaments. So she asked this Jaida Natin, and Natin is the this one community who does tattoo. So she asked them, and Chano Devi. So they bought, and Jamna Devi was the main person.
Yes.
So Jamna Devi actually didn't do the Dalit painting. She was amongst the first 5 painters who did very close to Brahmin style of painting. Or if you see, her paintings are very dynamic. Jamna Devi's painting. So and then the Gudna style started like that when Erica, she asked them to do on paper, and Jamna Devi gave it a cow dung wash, like.
Yeah, that was quite unique.
A very unique experiment, and that's how Gudna styles came. So all the people who have been, because patronage is very important, and new concepts come through when somebody is buying, and they give you ideas. Sometimes it's bad also for the artist, because you have examples where people have deteriorated the art.
Yeah. I guess they've compromised it with demands which are not necessarily aesthetically right or consistent.
Correct.
Okay, now let's talk about the art form. What we all see is the visual equivalent of what is otherwise a very holistic, cultural phenomenon, because this is a representation of a strong storytelling, a strong music tradition, a strong ritualist tradition which backs it all up, right?
Yes, correct. So Mithila painting, it's a holistic tradition. I've written in the book also, because where Kala, Katha, Vrat. So as you said, that music, storytelling, and the rituals, and it's like a community art. Like if supposing my daughter is getting married, so if her marriage gets fixed, so same day all the women from all around, they will collect every evening, and the Kobar decoration starts. And the oldest lady who knows the painting, or Ahibati means married woman, she will put a dot on the center. And somebody who knows, like Jagdamba Devi ji used to go everywhere and make Kobar in the weddings in the family. So, so she will draw, and the younger generation will fill, and there'll be a set of women who will sing, and then all these hathi and which are used for Gauri Pujan and all. So the Kumhar is involved, the potter is involved, then the Nai is involved, and you will see in my book the impact of Dhobin, like the washerwoman. So it is a community affair, and it's a community art, and it's an art form which in which the whole community was involved together, and that's how different art forms and different this art had different impact and impressions. And later on, when it came on paper, individual signature became very important, and it had to be, obviously, because if that is not, then art would not survive. So it's a community affair, and this art it's a women's art, evolved by women, preserved by women, and practiced by women. So, and that can be seen till today. If you see, maximum artists who practice are women, and men are more of their selling. Sometimes, people say that they are vendors and they are misusing, but I know all of them personally. So I say, who are the vendors? They are the brother, son, husband of the same artist, who are selling in the market.
So this must have been, very empowering for the women, because it was seen as a kind of sisterhood where all of them came together. B, now it also creates economic empowerment, because they become the substantive earners also, right?
I call Mithila painting as the biggest example of women empowerment, and where I see the journey of women from the courtyard to Sita Devi going to USA and Germany, and Ganga Devi went to USA. When she went to USA, she's first time saw women with short hair and short skirt. So she painted that in her paintings. And if you see Godavari, that like all the women who practiced, they had very somehow very sad stories. The early masters, very bad family life, but then they became world famous, and the whole village followed them, including Jagdamba Devi. Like Jagdamba Devi's husband passed away long when she was very young, and she was living in early time. She was living in her maternal house. Later on, when she became famous, she came to Jitwarpur. You know. So this time when I went, I found it very empowering because all the houses, आपने भी देखा होगा कि it's outside, it's written Padma Shri Godavari Dutt.
Yes, yes. Even in Jagdamba Devi house is printed on top.
Yeah. Yes. So you just see that whole village, the name of women is written outside the house in the nameplate. I think it's most empowering feeling in a society where women were always veiled and not even seen outside. So it is.
Okay. So let me just come now to the specifics of the art form. For the audience, will you explain terms like Bharni, Kachni, Godhana?
Yes. Mithila painting is basically like, it is divided into three parts. The first part, the three communities which practiced this art. The Brahmins did the colorful, as we said in the wedding, the colorful paintings. They were called Bharni. Bharni meaning Bharna, filling. So that's called Bharni painting. And the Kayast community, Kayast is the money lender community. So they did the line paint, which is practiced in more or Rati, and so that line painting was called the Kachni painting. And the third style of the Dalit art, where the forms were very small, it was like tattoo forms. So that was called as Gudana painting, which was practiced by the Dalit. And then these are the basic three types of techniques, I would say, that through which you can make a very nice Mithila painting. But later on, as we will be discussing, like if you see that later on, new techniques also came where each individual artist developed their own style. Like so, there many people write the tantric painting, but I feel that tantric is an again evolution from the three styles, which the techniques which has happened. So through that, you can see Gopal Shah's painting, which is very very contemporary. In 1970s, it was most contemporary. So these are the basic three categories of painting through which you can recognize a Mithila painting.
Okay, so the thing behind you is a Bharni?
It's a Bharni painting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good. That kind of gives us. Okay, now we come to Manisha Jha. Please give us your life story.
Okay.
Because now you are a multifaceted personality. You moved out and moved to Delhi. Yet you stay connected. You have, set up the institute to propagate and give support. You have your professional career. You have your passion for the art form. So how do you do all of this?
I don't know. I was destined to do it. I was I was born in a small village, as you said, in Satlakha, and we are three sisters, and all three of us are architects. And I inherited painting because of my grandmother and mother. Because I think my grandmother was very very fine artist. But this artist word still doesn't come to me because I feel that it was part of my growing up. We had different pujas in the house, so to do that. So since we were only three daughters of my parents, so it was my parents. We didn't have a brother, so it was a mission of my parents to educate us and give highest education. So architecture also I inherited because my father is an architect, and since childhood we used to fill his drawings. Urban Art Commission with your drawing submit hoti hai, so you have these group housing society drawings. So we used to color it, and so that's how I did my education, school education in Delhi. But we were brought up very rootedly. So I remember myself since childhood doing paintings apart from my school. So in my school and in my architecture college, we were known as Madhubani sisters because we had painted our college in college festivals. So I sort of got the best of both the worlds. I can say that, but I have a very urban education and my master's. So it just happened when I passed my architecture after this. I had done my thesis in Vastu Shastra and I had practiced, I had studied Kapila Vatsayanji on her concept of physical interpretation of Bindu, Chakra, Nabhi. So what I did is I painted all these things in form of painting, in Mithila painting. And it was by luck that Shanku Chaudhary sir, who was founder of this Lalit Kala Academy and so many, was a fine artist himself. So he was a neighbor. And he just walked in and he asked my father, "Ye sab kisne banaya hai?" So my father said, "Yeah, my daughter does it." So he said, "Whoa, this is very good." So he said, "Why don't you exhibit?" So before that, we had never, no, nobody in our family had ever visited an art gallery. So he said that you exhibited. So that's how at that time he only asked me to fill a form and I applied in India International Center. And immediately I got a sponsored. I was sponsored immediately by IIC, and they did a very big show. And in my show, in the first day only, they did a preview, and I was next day in all the newspapers, and I had got a reviews like first English speaking Mithila painter, and I was 25-year-old at that time. So people were used to very old people practicing, women practicing this art. So here I was, talking in English and explaining my works. So that was a very people wrote that it's a fresh wave to Mithila painting. And that's about my first show. And after seeing that show, I was invited by Lalit Kala Academy, Delhi, to exhibit there. So next month only I had one more show. And then I was invited by Kala Academy Panjim, Goa. I have exhibited several times in Goa. So the chief minister there, he loves my work, and Mr. Pratap Singh Rane, and I had my third show there, and in the same fourth month, I was selected by IFAX. I was the only folk artist exhibit selected in the contemporary art show, and that was my starting. And after that, there was no looking back. And I never realized, but I was the first artist from a folk background to exhibit in art galleries because I was, coming from, I was also an architect. So I always felt that because I was also practicing this art, I always felt that the amount of work which goes into making this art cannot be passed on so lightly. At that time, folk artists were treated like that.
Yeah.
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 So that used to hurt me a little bit. So that's how I entered into. I brought this into art galleries, and my main mission was to increase the value of art and get the status of this art into at a different status. Because coming from that lineage, I feel that there's a lot of hard work which goes into doing this art, and it has to be seen differently. And that was my mission, sort of, and it still is my mission to increase the value of this art and make it reach as many people as possible. Because, and in that whole process, I did so many other things because I had I never studied fine art. So I just said, "Acha, exhibition karna hai na." So I used to just take my paintings. Okay, we are exhibiting. So ignorance is bliss. So I never realized what was, because then later on I used to meet so many fine artists who were BFA, MFA, and they had never exhibited. So I used to tell them, "Why you've not exhibited?" I had exhibited in Baroda also so many times. So they say, "Oh, if people, you have to face people, and if people don't like your work," I say, "Why?" So, because I was not from that background of fine art, I had no scare as such within me. So that was a bliss for me because I fearlessly exhibited whatever I did. And that gave me a path. And I never realized that I was inspiring so many people. And in that whole process, in after maybe 15 years back, I had never seen other artists exhibition from my villages. Like I had never seen. My father used to collect paintings like Sita Devi, 2, 3 he had, and I used to copy her. So when I realized that, when I used to see that I was having in Kala Academy, Panjim, Goa, I was having a very big show inside the gallery, and there was a folk art show which was, the craft mela, and very senior artists were exhibiting there. Then I realized ki why, and then I thought that I could interfere and make a difference, and that's how I started helping other artists. And I started, and then I one more thing which was very strong. Like then I realized that there were so many foreigners who were my collectors, so they knew why. If that was Shiva, they knew, okay, Shiva had third eye, or what was importance of a Kamadhenu or a tree of life. But people from my own place, like Bihar, they didn't, okay, this is Madhubani painting. So then I realized that this painting has not reached the masses. And actual I'm talking about 22 years back. So the actual, and so I was very, and so I thought, "Well, let me, why I can do something." So I started documenting, because in architecture we are very good in documentation.
Yes.
So so I started documenting each artist out of interest, and then the breakthrough was this exhibition at IGNCA for Madhu Shravani, where I would thank Dr. Madhu Khanna in 2004. She found me. I was exhibiting in India Habitat Center, and she said that I want to do something with women. She was from Nariwad department. So I said, okay, ma'am, let's do Madhu Shravani. I just said because it was July and it was Madhu Shravani time. And at that time, I worked with 200 women artists from different villages of Madhubani.
Yes.
And that was totally, it brought so many changes in my personality also. Because, I never realized that they were all the artists were so competitive amongst themselves. And that feeling of Dalit was so inherent that I had Urmila Devi Paswan, who is the senior most Dalit artist.
Yeah.
I met her first time at that time, and she came and she said she wanted some work. I said, please join the workshop. And but other artists, they said, no, we are not going to work with her. I said, you'll have to work here, other you leave. So then at the first time, all the 3 classes worked together, and then I realized that why it is called Brahmin and Kais and Dalit, because it was so prevalent, and that whole feeling. Yeah, and then we created, first time I worked on canvas. So they said we cannot work on canvas. I said we are going to work on canvas. And I taught them, all of them, from Bawa Devi Kaki, everybody was there. I worked with so many artists. And we created artwork of 22 feet long by 10 feet wide canvases, I think 50, 60 canvases. And since then, I have been now, these 500 women artists are part of my life.
Yeah. In fact, in some of those works, you have multiple, people working together. Probably the first time when published work signed by multiple people, no?
It is all published and it is all documented. We have videos where, the 2, 3, on one canvas, there are minimum 15 people who have worked. So it was very beautiful to develop that integration, and I think that affected other artists. And then now I see lots of people working the group, the community aspect of Mithila painting developed there. Again, it came back sort of,
That's so fascinating. That's so fascinating. In fact, I want to show the audience that this is a beautiful. If you guys can lay your hands on this, you must. And this is not just any ordinary publication. This publication has a fabulous introduction. It has what is intrinsic to Mithila, which is the storytelling. It has, It talks about the festival, Madhu Shravani, which is, the Shravan. We all know, we are all familiar. There are various formats of this in various states of the country. But what happens is it's typically a 2 week long festival, and usually, if there is a young bride who is less than 1 year married, it's centered around her in many ways. And there are many stories that are told literally on every day of that period, and many rituals that are done. And it's fascinating because to me, it opened my eyes to the many works which I had blindly bought. Yeah, because it's very important. You know, one of the things that we do often is that we operate just from the visual sense, and the whole work assumes a completely different dimension when you know the way it is embedded in the culture of the artist who made it, the story behind it, the backstory, and each of those stories has many a message embedded in it. You know,
Yes.
that's I think the key. So, of course, I mean, I can start you off on some of those stories, but before that, I'll ask you a couple of questions in terms of where does Mithila, some of the symbolism that comes into Mithila art. You know, can you talk us through some of the?
Yes, yes. So this art is totally symbolic and it has lots of meaning. Because I always, when I teach, I always say that there is nothing without, not even one line without a meaning. You know, that's very important about this art. So when you see in the Kobarghar, you see the central. There's a lot of misinterpretation. You know that's why also I started writing. You know, Paul, because the central Bhagwati, the goddess, is made in the Kobarghar, and then you have these round leaves. You will see in the if you see a Kobar painting. So that round leaves are the lotus leaf. We call it Purainak Par, which multiplies very fast. So we say that you multiply in your health, wealth, success, generation like a Purainak path. Then snake, like in this book, it's all about snake worship, Manasa. So snake is symbol of fertility, longevity, and it's symbol of time. And that's why and that whole area from Himalayas to Mithila to Assam, snakes are quite prevalent. You know, a snake, parrot is symbol of love. Then tortoise in the painting, it signifies how to face life. Tough from outside, soft from inside, when to withdraw, when to come out and face life. Then if you see this, the bamboo represents, it multiplies very fast. We
Yes.
say multiplying your health, wealth, success like a bamboo, and also being stiff and flexible at the same time in life. So these are basically preaching of life. Elephant is symbol of stability, you know. And then what do we have? Then we have these parrots, which are symbol of love, and fish is the most important because you must have seen in Rajnagar Palace also. It's a very unique architecture, and if you see on the top of the
Yes.
palace, you will just see fishes.
Yeah.
So that's Mithila Maharaja. Two fishes are the symbol of Mithila Maharaja. So fish is symbol of evolution and a new beginning. And in fact, when in our community, when a bride comes to a groom's place, she's with her left hand, she's made to cut a small live fish, which signifies a new beginning of her life. You know, and again, when you see this painting, which is divided in the on the paper, now when you see a Kobar painting, you will see that the top portion of the painting, you'll see all the gods and goddesses. And see how beautifully these artists have divided the paper, where the topmost is the cosmos, the middle portion is nature, and the base is earth and human beings. So Mithila painting is the biggest connection of man, nature, and culture. And it everything revolves around about man and nature relationship in this art form. Like the painting which you have animated, my painting. Thank you for that. And if you see the peacock, symbol of love. Tree of life signifies, and Kamdhenu, the cow. It signifies, we say that all your wishes comes true with by Kamdhenu and the tree of life, because the tree is our biggest friend, and it is like, it is the biggest giver. It gives you. If
Yeah.
we get married to a mango tree in our weddings, we get married to the mango tree first before getting married to the groom,
Yes.
which
Yes.
implies that all your evil, the bad omen is taken by the tree, and then the couple lives happily ever after.
Yeah.
So
Such a beautiful thought, and taking the tree as the entity that absorbs all your evil for you.
yes,
You know?
so that's the beauty of this art, because and the more in depth you go, and in so many the previous books, the male authors, they have misinterpreted the Kobar, which I strongly reject those theories of so many things they have written about Kobar. So again, the coming to the stories, each art, like the stories of Madhushamli, which I have written,
Yeah.
they are nothing. It talks about man, nature, and relationships.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a beautiful way of training a young bride and groom that you are entering into a different phase of life. एंड these are the code of conduct. Like उसमें आप देखेंगे आशावरी की कहानी है. आशावरी was Shiva's sister. So the beautiful relationship between a bhabi and another, so that is explained in that, where Ashavri is very rude to her bhabi, and then Parvati ji becomes very sad that she doesn't have a nanad, so Shiva calls Ashavri, and when Ashavri, suddenly she has cracks in her feet, so she hides Gauri ji in her cracks in her feet, and Bhola Baba is looking for her. Where is Parvati ji? Then suddenly Ashavri just shakes her leg, and she falls out. Parvati falls out. So the concept of that's a beautiful way of explaining relationships and how to deal with relationships.
Yeah.
And in the present COVID time, it talks about man and nature. What is your code of conduct with nature?
Yeah,
How
in fact, there is a beautiful story. I was most touched by the story of Prithvi,
Prithvi.
and how the need to respect
Yes.
Mother
Where
Nature and Earth.
Prithvi, she goes in Patal Lok, and she doesn't want to come out. So that's at the time, that every all Devi Devtas, they come and worship her. That you, mother, you are the most important, because otherwise the whole Brahmand, the universe becomes black, and it's filled with water. So that's how Vishnu's the three incarnations of Kachap, Varaha, and fish incarnation, they bring her back, and the whole Prakriti takes form.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I wish we learned some of these lessons, and not only that, connected the symbolism to real life. Today, for example, respect for Mother Earth is
yes.
one of the things as society we lack and miss so badly.
And this has nothing to do with any religion. It's just teaching of life,
Yeah.
and being more sensitive. Like so many times in my workshops, I tell students that, okay, make a banana leaf. Half of them, 90% cannot make a banana leaf because they have not taken time to look at it properly. That so do we know how to make a proper cow? Cow is a very simple form, but maximum people cannot, because so many times I'm taking workshop with the art schools, I always tell them, please unlearn what you have learned, then only you can learn this art form, because it's very simple, and it has no reasoning. It's very simple. It's just you have to connect to it. That is very important, and that is about Mithila painting and all the other folk art of a country.
So, do you reckon that there has been recognition for the art form and senior practitioners, and do juniors get the necessary support? Because I think in a lot of traditional Indian art forms, Mithila does stand out as one of the most, you know, rewarded, recognized, decorated, because even Jagdamba Devi, as early as 1970, got her first award, right? So, and so many artists from Mithila. So,
I think that whole credit goes to the women of the region, And because like if you see Jagdamba Devi, she did amazing amount of work, and I've been very fortunate to see them very closely work hard so much. So we have 6 Padma Shris from the same area, and all women, which I feel very proud of.
Yes, absolutely. When I went to Jitwarpur, there were 3 from Jitwarpur itself.
Jitwarpur, yes, yes. And you see 20 out of 21, 22 national awardees, 19 are women.
Yes.
So,
Fantastic.
so the problem in today's generation is that, but if you see their journey, Jagdamba Devi was already more than around 70 plus when she got in 1972 when she got her award. If you see Sita Devi ji's journey, it is more than 70 years of journey. And if you see Urmila Devi's Paswan journey, it is already more than 55, 60 years of journey. And they have been working very hard. Because it was also a question of survival
Yes.
at that time. And then once that recognition came, it was addiction. And it happens with a lot of name, fame, the prosperity came in all the villages. So it was very interesting. But in today's context, what today's artists lack, I feel, is that sense of commitment and that rootedness with their culture. Because I always say that if you're not rooted, if there are 2 types of artists, students who learn, who are from everywhere, so they are not expected to be rooted. They are just learning this art, and they are getting aware, and they can use it in whatever they are doing. But the people who are coming from that region, it is their responsibility to be rooted and to know their culture so that's why I say that what is good art and what is good artist in all the art forms. There are many good art can be, you can very precisely do very thin kind of lines, and that is fine. But do you know the ABC of that art? So I still have a lot of respect for the early masters because they were very rooted, and they started with minimal things because there was no material available.
Yes.
So suddenly a new material came, which was paper. So they were using, bamboo, and they were using purana kapda and everything, and dhoti ragne wala rang se usko color karke. So if you see, I had recently last month I had interviewed at least 10 main masters, and if you still see Bhava Devi's passion for art, when you ask her about art, her eyes start twinkling. And she said she had 9 children, so she used to work at night in Dibia, in the lamb stool. And that was the passion. And आप अभी भी उन आर्टिस्ट को कहीं भी बुला लीजिए. There is no inhibition. आप मुझे हाथ पे बिठा दीजिए, मुझे कहीं पे बिठा दीजिए, I will paint.
Yes.
So that kind of passion is lacking in today's generation, I feel.
So now tell me, if I have to propagate this to the people of the country, I mean, one is that rootedness, the local patronage, the support systems, the institutions. You've done a lot of work in that area. How can people like us, who are from outside of this place, the average citizenry, support this?
No, you are actually doing a very great job, and I think patronage is very important because राजा के टाइम से जब राजा होता है तभी कलाकार निकलते हैं because art cannot sustain without patronage. So अभी तक if you see this art, if Japanese and like German and people like Raymond Oberle had not, then even in our country, like many people have been very big patrons of this art. So you can actually the kind of work Salma is doing right now is very good because you are documenting, you are interviewing. Most important is to exhibit, to have workshops, awareness programs in schools, and I have been working very hard to get it integrated in the school curriculum because especially we are not taught art at all, and even in art schools like art colleges, they are taught cubism and they are taught everything, but they are not taught their own art, which can be utilized when I go to US and when I'm exhibiting there and I'm I'm like given so much of respect. It's because of my art,
Yeah.
and it's very rooted art. So why can't we know our own culture?
Yeah.
Be it Madhubani painting, be it Pad painting or Patachitra or Gond painting, or this has to come in the mainstream of education, which is very important. And then interactions like which are you are doing it. So and then a young generation needs to, because I always feel that the young generation is the carrier of this whole Dharohar. They have to carry it forward, be it not necessary from Mithila, but from all over our country. You never know, like how people get inspired, and they do with small differences makes lot of changes in the whole society. It is just, I always say that आपको एक नियत चाहिए होती है काम करने की.
No,
So
100%. In fact, I feel that, uh, the focus generally of our education system is, language and numerical literacy.
yes, yes, yes,
And we forget that the soul needs nourishment, and that
yes,
comes from art, culture, heritage, etc.
yes,
If we really want EQ in our kids,
correct, yes.
we have to, expose them and make it,
Yeah, and I especially feel that, in today's time where kids are always on games and there's so much of information coming from all the way. So how do somebody become peaceful at mind? How does that peace of mind comes only through art, be it music, dance, visual art, or any performing art. So art is the main source of this interaction. So that has to be done only, which has to be, I think our government has to seriously think of where our society is going, because art and culture is the most important part of our country, and we are very rich as compared to when I go to Santa Fe Folk Art Market, where people from all over the world are there. So then I realized that our country is so rich because the maximum participation, biggest contingent is from India.
yeah,
Be it from textiles, jewelry, and painting, and sculpture, embroidery. We are rich on everything. What people are discovering now, we had discovered long time back.
correct.
So I feel that all of I mean, it's very important to work at any level, not only grassroots level but any level. If I can spread awareness, and I feel catching them young is most important, because workshops and training programs in schools and then in colleges, it will give focus. It will give, because art has a big it's a very big profession. If in I have been working with advertising agencies, with fashion industries. It is just because of my art. So it gives you a lot of avenues to explore yourself in accessory design, in interior design, in product design. But आपको ये सीखना तो पड़ेगा. You have to be aware of it.
Yeah. And also left brain, right brain, na.
Yeah.
Get both sides to operate.
Yeah, and I had this idea, like in COVID times, a lot of artists are having difficult time. So I went and met DC, and I told him that why don't you incorporate it in schools as curriculum, and keep teachers, all these artists who are the actual custodians, and they are the best teachers. So how many schools are there and how many artists are there? Everybody gets employed, and the students get best first hand information and knowledge from the masters,
Yes.
which is important.
Well, that's an amazing idea. It's something worthwhile. I know that a couple of things that we do, we have seen now a lot of agencies actually wanting to drive learning about art and culture in a very systematic way. So we partner, for example, with Pratham,
Right.
and they have a lovely infrastructure availability, because they give tablets to kids and they download curriculum, but they're also now supplementing it very strongly with arts,
Yes.
uh, component. And I
Yeah.
think that's the future, because if
It is the future. I think by hand is the future, and West has actually, they have already realized it. We need to realize it more. because it has been proven. I had taken a workshop for UNESCO with our school, government school students, and it is proven that when we use our fingers to do something, it enhances our cognitive skills.
Hmm.
So now, why not do this even for 30 minutes every day in schools, where children, it does affect, because I have seen art as a therapy, and in my studio, I've seen so many people, getting cured. I never realized that it happened, but it did happen with art. So it makes changes. It changes the whole personality of a person, which I see in myself. I see in all the artists who are there, senior most. Even I go to village, so many people have nothing, and they are always giggling and smiling, which is so nice. And there are people who have everything, but still they have all the problems of life. So that's what art does.
I think happiness is about simplicity.
Yes.
Okay, so before we finish, and maybe I throw it open to a couple of questions. What next? What is next? What is the next project? What is the next book? What is the next exhibition? What is
I have I have 10 books lined up.
okay? Then you're going to be super busy. No, but you can stay
So
busy.
I'll just share. This is the main book which actually I started and it's ongoing, and that Madhushami just happened. This is traditional to contemporary. Journey of Mithila. This is a journey of Mithila painting from an artist's perspective. And here in this book, it's like a mini encyclopedia of Mithila paintings, where I've shown the journey from 1934 till today, all the senior most to junior most, and what is, it's very important to see the progression of this art. How this art, how was it on wall? We just talk about it was a wall painting. We say it's a floor painting, but how does it look?
Hmm.
Do we know that? No. Then we say that okay, these were the artists who have been practicing this art, but we don't get to see their work. And in this whole process, I became a small collector also because because I thought that if I'm talking about Sita Devi, I have to show Sita Devi.
Correct.
If I'm talking about Mahasundari, I have to show Mahasundari. I have to show Satyanarayan ji. I have to show Jagdamba Devi, because then how do you know? Most of the people don't even know Gopal Saha. They don't know Bimla Dutt. They don't know so many Krishnanand ji. They don't know all these masters of Mithila painting, and that was they brought that uniqueness. What was the uniqueness of Bawa Devi's work? I can show you work from 80s of Bawa Devi till today. There's so much of change. There's so much of change in her personality too.
So let
And
me ask you a question at that exact point. How do now there are many things that are happening. One is, of course, many things move from the wall to paper and other medium. People have also relocated from, Madhubani area.
that's a very good question. Yes.
Yeah, they're living all over the place. So one is, how do you stay rooted? Number two, what is the evolutionary process that is happening? Are people picking up new themes? Is the art evolving in different directions? Where is it going?
Yeah. This art is growing, and there are definitely new themes, and it's a very good question of being rootedness. I always say, like a lot of people say, that if you are not living in Madhubani, you are not an Mithila artist. That doesn't happen, because even Sita Devi ji was in her times when she was working. She was living here in a room in Hostas, and she was, because for her work she had to be here. And it's the commercial aspect which brings an artist to a city. But when that artist, I always say the outsiders, because when these people came, like Bawa Devi always stayed here in Delhi. I had designed her house. So, so then only they could bring that change in this art. Because when some, like you are a collector, you are a connoisseur of art. So you will say, I like something, and then I will create something like that. So there was a transition. Like there was and Bawa Devi's art, like earlier she used to ferociously paint all the snakes and create her long, linear cows. But now suddenly I saw a tree of life coming, which was not her usual kind of colors. So that was a outside influence which happened, and it's absolutely fine. I mean, so these people, even if artists have to travel to different parts, because if they don't travel there, if it was still on the mud walls, it would the world would have never seen this art.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so the moment it came on paper, material traveled, so the art traveled, and the artist traveled. So that's very. And now when you see today's, people, I'm painting on cities like Banaras and Delhi, and so many people. Like you see, Rani Jhansi is painting on fetus and abortion, and so many all kind of topics younger generation is doing right now. Although, but I still feel that the paintings on nature are still prevalent, and like also the all the three styles have merged
Yeah.
now that the caste system has totally gone off. It is just an art form. Like you can see the Dalit artists doing Radha Krishna. They're doing very nice Radha Krishna paintings, and they are painting. I'm using Budna motifs, which I learned from Urmila Devi Paswanji. In my paintings of my circles of life and so many paintings I have done, I have used extensively Gudna art in that. Keeping because I know the meaning of it because I've documented it on women, the story of Dona Malin and Raja Sailesh, the story of Raja Sailesh. So, like I have documented Gudna art in a very big way. In last 15 years, each and every part and the patterns and what it means to people, and how it has come. So, like now, all the art form, all the artists it has merged. And one more thing I wanted to share, about Bhaskar Kulkarni is that, I always used to wonder that why Rati and Jitwarpur are very close by. So why Rati had line painting and Jitwarpur had colored painting? So it is because it was because of Bhaskar Kulkarni. Because even Manu Parekh came, Jyoti Bhatt, they were coming to the region. So it was Bhaskar Kulkarni. He wrote that whatever good aspect he saw in an artist, he used to develop that. He saw Sita Devi painting very nice, effortlessly huge forms in Bharni painting. So he encouraged her to do colored works. Then in Karate, he saw Mahasundri Devi was not so good at colors, but she used to do line more. And Ganga Devi ji was using just line. So he developed that line painting in that way. And Erika Moser developed the Gudna style. So outside influence, connoisseurs, patronage, everything together, I think Mithila painting has been very lucky tradition to have great patronage. It was found by W.G. Archer, who was an art collector himself.
Yes.
In
fact, they did a full Marg issue on it in 1949. That's probably the first formally published.
Art. I think that was the first Indian folk art documented.
I think so.
Yeah, and now the artist also very passionately. Lots of people. When I had come in this art form, and when I exhibited at that time, so many senior artists said that their children never wanted to take up this art. And they said कि आप उनको देखो कि वो इंजीनियर है वो नीचे बैठ के बना रहे. So I think I influenced people in that way, and now I see lots of youngsters, and I got more than 100 calls every day from that they see they want to discover this art, they want to experiment in this art, and I'm sure good artists will be coming, and you will get to see a lot of good work in coming years.
Inshallah, like they say. Okay, now we are way past time, so I'm going to stop right here and take a couple of questions. If there are any questions, could you quickly type them, or Sarita has I have seen what Sarmaya had put up of the wonderful rendition of the Mithila art on the walls in situ. When it is removed from the context on other surfaces, how do you as an artist feel? recognizing the folk form is a continuously evolving one, is there still a sense of loss of an imagery, style, form, language? How do you, as an artist, address this? I think there are two questions. One is the sense of this is my work on the wall, and now I have to paint over it and do something else, which I found not only in Mithila, but even so many other
Yes.
traditional Gond forms or also wall forms.
Yes.
I think the idea was that there was very little attachment beyond
Correct.
the occasion.
Yeah. Yeah.
The second part is, I mean, you please respond to both, but the second part is recognizing the folk form is a continuously evolving one. Is there still a sense of loss of an imagery, style, form, language?
I don't think so. I think the language has become more stronger because earlier, in one village, I must clarify this that everybody who comes from Mithila is not a Mithila painter. Because in my family, I don't know, there was nobody, and I became an artist. I was practicing this art form. So seeing that today we have more than 2 lakhs of artists. So I think this art form is growing leaps and bounds, and the imagery is definitely intact. If you talk about the traditional aspect of it, because the people still make covers in their houses, even if they are in USA or they are in Delhi, they are in Mumbai, or they are in Ranchi, same customs are followed. People who follow, so it is intact. I don't think so. There is any sense of loss of art or art form. I think it's grown up and it's become more. We are talking about it, so it's growing more.
Okay, so there's another question. Is kutni or dotting also a variation technique used in Madhubani, like Bharni or Godna?
Yes, yes, it is. It has different techniques. Like we call it खोदना. जो हम छोटे छोटे डॉट्स डालते थे, हम लोग उसको बोलते हैं हम खोद दिए हुए हम. So that is different names, local names which we use. So definitely it is a technique in the more in a line painting tradition. There are lots of rendering. I would say architectural rendering is done in the painting form in two colors or in monochrome colors. Yes.
Okay, there's a question from Snigdha Kumar, and this is a comment on a fellow artist. In S.K. Das ji's paintings, why does it seem more akin to Gond than Mithila?
No, I
don't like that.
No, Santosh ji is a very evolved artist, and more than an artist, I see him that he was part of all the he used to travel with Raymond, and he used to translate from Maithili. So he has a very big contribution in whatever good or bad is there. And he's a great artist, I would say. And I don't think so. You know what? I have realized in my research that in Bharat Bhavan, Sita Devi worked along with Jangar Singh Sham. So I see, and when I traveled I was in France for 2 months with the Gond artist. I see that when you are working together, and in IGNC and Mahabharat also, we had Gondi Mahabharat and we had Mithila Mahabharat. So I used to say that all the Gond people used to come and peep in and see that "अच्छा, ये तो ये बना रहे, तो हम भी वैसा बनाएंगे." So artists do get influenced, and some of the Gond techniques I would say are the very typical Mithila, and I can prove it. What Santosh ji is making, अगर उनका सिर्फ only line work, I don't think so. It is so much influence, but later on it can happen. But I don't think so. His art is influenced by Gond art. I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think personally that he's a particularly sensitive artist to
very sensitive.
So many social issues, and his rendering of the issues. I think that's what also makes him.
His topics, the subjects which he have painted, and also because he himself said he was influenced by Ganga Devi, but I also see that in his courtyard he was surrounded by best artists like Mahasundari Devi. His own mother was a great artist, and Karpuri Devi was there, so it's impossible for him not to do very good work.
Yeah.
He had to do very good work
Yeah.
because he's surrounded by.
Pedigree, very strong pedigree.
Yes, yes. He has.
Okay, one more quick question. Could you speak about the connection, if any, between Sujini embroidery and Madhubani painting?
Madhubani, yeah, there is a connection is the tradition because Sujni is made when the child is born, and with the layering of old cloth was done, and then the embroidery was done. So, so many times, if you see lots of Sujnis, what we were painting, the pattern used to be on the Sujni used to be done instead of lined, it was lined through threads. So that was the connection, and the tradition and the songs were same when we used to do this. So that was the only connection.
Good. Okay, before we close, do you want to just kind of show us what's behind you in terms of there seems to be some really fascinating works there?
Yeah, you can see this work. As I said, that I'm influenced by Buddha painting. So this is my dance of creation series. If you see this art, I'll take it closer. You can see this painting. Dance. I did this Shiva for Wendy Donington's book on Hinduism.
Oh, yeah.
This painting, the women in Budina style, which you see, it basically, what does Shiva Nataraj signify? It signifies that, it signifies freedom from all your inabilities and जो भी आपके अंदर कमी है, to come over it. So this signifies that, and these are women who are evolving all over the world. You know, they are evolving in the universe and coming out of all the inabilities and difficulties which they go through. And this painting depicts that. So you can see the layers of work which goes into making this art form, and this is around 8 feet by 8 feet, very huge canvas. I can also show you this particular painting. This is from my Feminine Tree series, where you can see women as a mother, and the series from this is in many museums of the world. Yeah, this is she multitasking. You can see women has so many hands and with one, and she is the root of society. You can see shown. This is from my Tree of Life series because I've been painting a lot of Tree of Life. So she is rooted. She is the root of. She is holding the society. She is standing firm, and then she evolves that we see in other paintings. Then I will show you. Like I've also been working with a lot of three-dimension figures on horse, and this talks about the universe. It's about the pin. You know, it talks about the universe, and you can see I've used Buddha form to do this whole sculpture. And so I've been experimenting and doing lots of work in different mediums. That's because I spend almost 15 hours in my studio and just doing writing and editing. So that's what you see here. And I can quickly show you my elephant series. This is the two, three part of this series are in very big collection and different. And you can see the jackfruit, which I've been painting quite often. So this was seven elephants. As I said, elephant this represents a family, and again the concept of tree of life and rootedness and growth and fulfillment, everything together.
As a Malayali, when I went to Madhubani, this was one of the things that got me excited in terms of the green. The amazing thing was there were so many things that we have all the way in Kerala. So jackfruit was one of the amazing discoveries.
And my jackfruit is my childhood memories because in my Nanima's house we have jackfruit which was growing from which was totally with fruits from base root to the top. So it gives you a feeling of fullness and prosperity and so many things. So this is from that series. Then I will show you this. You can see this. Yeah. You can see this is from my Banaras series. I've painted since 2002. I've been painting Banaras, being an architecture student. The architecture of Banaras and the women aspect of Banaras has really influenced me. It has a very deep impact on my life. So, because there are such a very young women widows who are, and they are there on the ghats for salvation in next life. So that is so on seeing that and the architecture of Banaras. So I've been doing a lot of paintings on Banaras, and I will quickly show you this painting, which is. You can see, if you see from a distance, this painting on fish is symbol of evolution. This inspiration was from Mauritius. And then in the sea, in the ocean, if you open the boat, I saw this colorful, very kind of effect of fishes. And, nature had made it so it was full of colors. So this painting, I call it the universe because at that moment I felt like the whole universe was open to you. So this is like a small kind of works which you can see.
Thank you so much. Thank you absolutely so much. Delightful. And Manisha ji, before I close, I want to say this was a really special evening.
Thank you.
And all power to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
May you continue to be the ambassador that you are. And may we all benefit from all the work you're doing, the fantastic work you're doing. Because I know that having a collection of my own, that keeping the documentation, the backstory, the details, the people, because otherwise what happens is everyone anonymously passes into history.
Yes.
No one ever is any the wiser. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your good work also, and thank you for inviting me. And thank you to all the viewers who have given their time to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, and if there are any questions we missed in the early part, I will send them to you in an email and you can answer.
Oh, I will, definitely.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining. That was a lovely session, and I just get so fascinated by the depth that we have in our culture. Every corner of our country has so much to tell us, teach us. The stories are wonderful, and it's people like Manisha ji who are keeping that flag flying. So thank you so much.
And thank you also, because Sarma is doing such wonderful work. I think it's a great work which you have initiated, because it will have long-term effect. I strongly feel this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Right. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Okay.